I feel the energy in this room today. I am so excited. Yetzi and I want to welcome you to Empowering Tomorrow, Women Leading a Sustainable Future. Today we gather to celebrate leadership, innovation, and resilience of women who are shaping stronger communities. We hope these conversations inspire connection, spark new ideas, and empower each of us to continue lifting one another as we lead forward.
It has been an absolute privilege to work with Christy Martin. An amazing friend of mine invited me to attend the Purple Tie Gala hosted by Wings late last year, where I had the opportunity to meet Christy. And from that moment, I knew she was someone I hoped that we could one day bring to this event. Growing up, I looked up to Christy because I myself wanted to be a boxer. So meeting someone I had admired for so long and then finding her to be so funny, personable, and genuine made an even bigger impression on me. So when we started planning this year's luncheon, Christy was the very first person who came to mind. Now, I don't want to say I was relentless, but I'm pretty sure I broke the submit button on her website's contact form. After multiple failed attempts to load the page, I decided that if the front door was locked, I'd try the window and then the chimney. I moved on to every other platform I could find until we finally connected, and I'm so glad that I didn't take a 404 error for an answer, because here we are today. As we celebrate Women's History Month, it feels especially fitting to hear from someone so empowering as Christy. She's more than a champion in the ring, she's a true pioneer. As one of the most influential figures in women's boxing, she helped break barriers, redefine what was possible for women in sports, and bring national attention to a sport that has long overlooked the strength, talent, and determination of female athletes. But what makes Christy's story so powerful extends far beyond her athletic accomplishments. She's a symbol of resilience, courage, and survival. Through every challenge, she has continued to rise with remarkable strength and authenticity, inspiring others not only through what she achieved, but through the way that she has shared her story with honesty and purpose.
First, I want to say thank you so much to Rivers Casino for bringing me here and let me be part of this great event, empowerment. And that's what I hope that, not just from me, but from everything that we hear today, we all walk out of here just holding our head just a little higher and feeling a little stronger. I feel like I have a lot of things I want to talk about. My brain is like spinning this morning. I don't know why. But I'm going to try to stay focused and share my story with you. When I share my story, it's not asking you or in any way do I want your sympathy. I hope that sharing my story will help give you strength and help show you the strength that I have. My name is Christy Salters Martin. I have lots of titles. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a college graduate, I'm a boxing world champion, I'm a 7-time Hall of Famer. Woo-woo. I'm a recovering drug addict. I had a stroke. I'm Champ's mom. But the title I'm most proud of is I'm a domestic violence survivor. Who I really am, who I think I am, I'm like the most successful underdog you're ever going to meet. I'm from a town of about 700 people in southern West Virginia. I had 86 people graduated in my high school class, so there's more people in here than in my class. I'm a coal miner's daughter. I grew up playing basketball and drinking beer. Felt like I was pretty good at both. I was really confident, somewhat probably borderline arrogant. Had friends, but I never really fit in because I was gay in southern West Virginia in the late 80s. And not only did I have to stay hidden, but there's no way, not even a little bit of me would have ever thought of coming out to my parents. I graduated from high school. I went to college. I was the first person from my family to go to college and to graduate from college. My degree is in education. Lots of people in my hometown, they were betting against me. She'll flunk out. She'll be back home after the first semester. She'll go over there and party and never achieve anything. But I love my West Virginia roots, and I love my people. I love my family. I love West Virginia. But I knew there was a big world out there, and I wanted to be part of it. I played basketball while I was in college. So I was in pretty good shape. And I had been to this, what we have in West Virginia, the Tough Man contest. It's, you wear headgear, you wear big gloves, and it's 3 one-minute rounds, and anybody off the street can enter. They had never allowed women to enter into the contest, but this year, in 1986, 87, I think it actually was, they allowed women. And for whatever reason, I thought this was the greatest idea in the world, and I wanted to enter into this Tough Man contest. So I did. And because I was in a little better physical condition, and I'm an athlete, I was able to win the contest. And I got a little bit of the boxing bug. I got a little hooked on boxing. It was exciting to have the whole auditorium cheer for you to knock someone out. And you got paid. So after winning a couple Tough Man contests, I got a phone call from a professional boxing promoter in Bristol, Tennessee. I thought, he offered me a fight to come fight his girl. Well, this will be a great story. In 20 years, I'm at a dinner party, and I can tell people that guess what I did? Once upon a time, I did a professional boxing match. I thought it would be a great story. So I did that. But it was also my first lesson in boxing. When the promoter calls you to come fight his girl, all the cards are literally stacked against you. I beat the shit out of this girl, knocked her down, and still got a draw. So here we are. I don't win, I don't lose. This is not a good story. They asked me, would I come back the next month and do a rematch with her? So I did. I came back, I fought her the next month and knocked her out. I mean, they could still be counting, and this fight happened back in '89 or something. So one thing led to another. I had a few more fights with this promoter, and he calls me about the time I'm going to graduate from college. And he says, would I move to Bristol, Tennessee? I have a trainer that wants to train you. And I thought, I don't really buy into this guy wants to train me, but you know what? I'm going to graduate from college. I'm going to take 6 months and just live it up and have fun, and I'll come back to West Virginia, get a teaching job, and life will begin. I'll have to grow up, pay bills. So I go to Bristol, Tennessee. The first day I go into the gym, I go in with my mother, and I had not Champ, a different dog at the time. And it was clear, this man did not want to train a female fighter. But because the boss insisted that he train, he didn't really train me. He didn't have a choice. So this was Jim Martin. Jim Martin would not only become my coach, he would become my husband, my abuser, and he would attempt to murder me. After a few months of being with him and training in Bristol, Tennessee, Jim and I moved to Florida. It was a great move for my boxing career. But it also took me away from everybody and everything that I knew. This is called isolation. He started telling me he would kill me if ever I left him. I'm 22 years old. Did I really buy into that? Did I believe that he would really kill me? No, he's going to get really mad, but is he really going to kill me? Wasn't convinced of it at that time, but he would remind me. He started to isolate me from everyone and everything that I knew. I wasn't allowed to talk to people that I knew from high school. Even my own parents and brother, he isolated me from. I was working as a professional boxer, training. Just so happened that one day while I was in the gym in Daytona Beach, Florida, a gentleman came in named Jesse Robinson. Jesse Robinson is known for training fighters for the promoter Don King. Most of you look maybe old enough to know who Don King is. Big hair, promoted some great fighters. Jesse says to me, I'm going to take you to Don King, Christy. And I'm, again, 700 people in my town, Southern West Virginia. Sure, you're going to take me to Don King. But a few months later, I get a call from Jesse, and he says, DK's ready to see you. So I jumped in the car, got ready, jumped in the car, and was on my way to South Florida to sign with Don King. I did meet with him and sign in October of 1993. I fought on some of the biggest cards in the 90s, promoted by King, under guys like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Tito Trinidad, Julio Cesar Chavez, Roberto Duran. I mean, some of you guys might be boxing fans. Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, those are living legends. I got to fight on cards with them. I fought at Madison Square Garden. I fought at the first ever show that happened at the Yum Gym Grand in Las Vegas. Fought at Caesar's Palace, all over Las Vegas. I didn't get to fight here in Chicago, though. I should probably talk to Bobby Hitz about that. Every time, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I did an episode with Roseanne Barr on her sitcom. All this really cool stuff. But every time something so positive and so happy and uplifting would happen to me, Jim Martin would bring me down. He would remind me that if ever I left him, he would kill me. Sometimes I would say, in front of the camera, I felt like I was on top of the world. But behind the camera, I definitely felt like the world was on top of me. And I would think, how could somebody with so much awesome, positive stuff happening in their life feel so isolated and alone? And really, how did I have no confidence with all this really cool things happening? But I didn't. As my celebrity grew, his grip just tightened every time. He would always, as I said, threaten to kill me. He would tell me, I'm going to tell the boxing world that you've had girlfriends while you're in high school, while you're in college, and that will isolate you from the boxing world. No one will support you. In my little town of Apopka, Florida, I would be at Walmart, and I'm one of those that believes if Walmart doesn't have it, I don't need it. So I'm just going down the aisles in Walmart, and I would turn around and he would be there. I would go to get my hair cut, and he would show up. One time I was getting my nails done. He shows up, pulls a chair up right beside the lady doing my nails, and he's watching so intently. When we left, he said, you don't ever have to go back there again because I will do this from now on. Look, I'm from West Virginia. I don't know any husband that's doing his wife's nails, so it really didn't settle well with me. This is stalking, but I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize the isolation. I didn't realize the emotional and mental turmoil that he was putting on me until, as I say, I was so far down that rabbit hole, I didn't know how to get out. In about probably 2007, my boxing career really had started to wind down, and I wanted to leave. So I wrote him a contract for a divorce. It didn't go over so well. He punched me. He hit me so hard it put my tooth through my lip. Blood went everywhere. But there was a little drop of blood. There was more than a little, but there was some blood that went on my bathroom wall on the door frame. And I left a couple little spots there for years. I told one of my best friends, if ever I go missing, here's where you can find my blood. So when you look back at that, how was I living? Why did I stay with a man that made me feel this insecure? But I did, and so many people do. A few weeks later, he brings a bag of cocaine and drops it on my table. And I have been one of those athletes that I will never do drugs. I'm not going to retire broke and addicted. And I retired from boxing as both. I let that cocaine sit on my table for days. And finally, I'm like, I have nothing. I feel like I had nothing. I'm going to go just snort a line. And that line led to another one and another one. And then it was 3 years of hell every day. I was miserable. How am I going to get out of this? I walked through my house one night, and I saw myself in a mirror. As I saw myself in this mirror, I said, you look like an addict. And then I said, no, You are an addict. But at that moment, I knew that's not who I was, and that's not the road that I was going to continue down. It took me a few days, but I got clean, and I left. As I was leaving him, I told him I'm going to go visit a friend, Sherry. And he said, if you leave me, I will kill you. And I turned right in my doorway, and I looked him straight in his eyes and said, Jim, do what you have to do. Because I was ready. I was ready to give up. I stayed gone for a few days. When I came back, while I was gone, he had sent pictures to my mother. He had sent messages to my mother that I was gay and that I was out with a woman and I was a drug addict, all these things. When I came back, I told him I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to get back in shape. I wanted to get my boxing career going. But my head was hurting, so I wanted to lay down. When I went to lay down, I could hear him out there calling people, telling them I had left with a woman. But the whole time, he was sharpening his knife. I never thought about him coming to stab me. He comes in. He tells me, I have something I want to show you. In my mind, because I'm a fighter, a boxer, he has a boxing contract. Thought he had a boxing contract to show me. He kept putting his hand behind his back. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, one shoe on, getting ready to go run. Finally, I lean around to see what is behind his back. And I see there's a knife stuck down in his shorts. And as I said to him, are you going to kill me? He started to stab me. The first 3 stabs were on my side, I thought he just hit me, actually. The 4th one went through my breast and blood went everywhere. So now I realize those first 3 are also stabs. And then I can hear my lung gurgling. So not only did he stab me, he punctured my lung. I tried to kick him away from me. When I tried to kick him away, he sliced my calf muscle almost completely from my leg. We were on the floor. I got to the floor. We're on the floor. He's beating my head into the dresser, pistol whipping me. My ear was cut from my head. They had to stitch that back on. But while he was beating my head against the dresser, that switch flipped. The switch that I was ready to give up, all of a sudden I told him, motherfucker, you cannot kill me. And I meant it just like the sun came up this morning. After he continued to beat my head, he realized that he had cut his own hand when he stabbed me. So he left me laying on the floor, went to take care of his own wound. I tried to get up. Every time I would try to raise up, blood would squirt out of all these holes and it would scare me, so I'd lay back down. But I can hear my lung gurgling, so I'm scared. He would walk in and look at me. And at first I would beg him to please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. He would walk back out. Then he came in the final time with a phone that, you guys remember when phones attached to the wall? They had a cord, right? So he came in with the cord dangling down. And he's like, this phone won't work. This phone won't work. That's when I realized this man is never going to change his mind. He's going to kill me. When he walked back out, he walked back in. I'm not dying yet. He picked up my own pink 9mm, stood at my feet, and shot me. He missed my heart by 3 inches. He walked out of the room. When he walked out of the room, I'm sure he thought I was dead, but I prayed to God. It was like my eyes to God's eyes. Show me some way out. I heard the shower water turn on. When the shower water turned on, I'm like, this is God just answered my prayer. Now's the time. I got up. I don't know how, because now all these other times before, I was too afraid to get up. But I got up. I got my car keys, and I took the gun, and I went to my car. I get to the car. It's the wrong car keys. So here are my choices. Go back in and try to find the right keys, or go to the middle of the road and, as I say, carjack somebody. My decision was to go carjack somebody. I go to the middle of the road. The first guy goes by me, and I'm thinking, how in the world can this guy pass me? I've got blood all over me. I'm standing here. How can they not help me? But I'm also got blood all over me, standing here with a 9mm in my hand. It's probably no wonder he went by me. But the next car, I see it coming. Like, no way I'm letting this guy pass me. And thank God he didn't. His name was Rick Cole, and he is my angel. He stopped. I handed him the gun, and I got in his back seat and said, please don't let me die, sir. As he took me to the hospital, I would tell him, I'm sorry, I'm bleeding all over your back seat. He got me to the hospital. They got me stable. They flighted me to a trauma hospital in Orlando, stitched me up, put me back together. When I was in my hospital bed, I prayed to God, if you'll let me live, I promise you I'll help one person before I leave this earth not go through what I went through. Then the arrogant ass me turned up and said, no, no, no. We're going to help one person every day before you leave this earth. And so that's what I'm trying to do. By sharing my story, I'm hoping that I'm helping somebody every day. In my boxing career, I had 49 wins. I kept fighting. I kept wanting to get win number 50. I fought just 6 months after being shot and stabbed. I broke my hand. The doctor stopped the fight. So even though I was way ahead on the cards and only 50 seconds to go in the fight, I didn't get that 50th win. I went to surgery to fix my hand. I had a stroke. The doctors told me don't fight anymore. So I have come to realization that I did get my 50th win when I got up off the bedroom floor, November 23rd, 2010, and I got out of the house. That was win number 50. Thank you for coming and spending part of your day with me today. And I hope that you can feel my strength. And no matter what is in front of you today, hell no, ain't nothing stopping us. We're going to the top. Thank you very much.
I'm excited to introduce our inspiring group of panelists. Each of them brings not only incredible professional accomplishments, but also powerful personal stories that remind us how women continue to shape stronger workplaces, families, and communities. So first, right here next to me, I have Bree Casey. So Bree, your story is pretty amazing. You're a founder and executive director of Beautifully Empowered. It's a nonprofit dedicated to empowering women and teen girls through mental health support, career development, mentorship, and community programming. Bree also has a master's in social work, an MBA, and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, 15 years in human resources, so a woman after my own heart, and a licensed social worker. Welcome today, Bree.
Thank you. Super excited to be here.
So we have Jill Swanson next, and I'll tell you, I had the pleasure of having lunch with her probably about a month ago, and wow, what an amazing story Jill has. And I only knew her or read about her from Lemons of Love. So Jill is founder of Lemons of Love, and they do amazing work in Rivers Partners, but she is the CEO of Fast Cooling, owner of Balance Motorsport. She builds cooling suits for race car drivers. Like, how cool is that? Among all the other things that you do as well, Jill. And then I have Devin Maddox. I have the pleasure of knowing Devin for 10 years now. So Devin is our Vice President and General Counsel here at Rivers Casino. She's also our chair of our Diversity Task Force and the chair of our Rivers Gives Foundation. She was a partner at Tressler LLP. I'm also an adjunct faculty member in the Legal Services Department at South Suburban College. And she also serves on the board for Chicago Youth Center. So welcome, Devin.
Wow.
And then the amazing Catherine Sawyer, who is our Chief Advancement Officer at Oakton College. Another great, I was reading your bio too, and I was like, oh my gosh, what else can she do? Executive Director of the Oakton College Educational Foundation. She has an MBA and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. She serves as Vice Chair of the Association of Governing Boards Board of Directors, chairs the Audit and Enterprise Risk Management Committee, and also is on AGB's Council of Foundation Leaders. Good Lord, do any of you have any time? And Itzel, I have Itzel Ramos Del Rio, Director of Operations at Iscali. And for those of you that don't know Iscali, please talk to her after. It's an amazing organization that we partner with here in Des Plaines. She also is the Managing Director of Casa Iscali Retreat Center here in Des Plaines. She began her career in nursing and then transitioned into nonprofit leadership. Welcome.
Thank you.
So the National Women's History Alliance has designated the 2026 Women's History Month theme as Leading Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. So sustainability, a lot of times people think automatically environment, and it is the environment that's very important, but there's other things. Sustainability also applies to our values, our communities, our finances, and financial sustainability ensures women don't just lead, but they lead with autonomy. So I'm going to throw my first question, and again, I'm with the slides here. Here's everybody. My first question, I'm going to throw it to Bree. So Bree, with your organization, you mentor both women and teen girls, and with financial sustainability, it's a personal power. It provides economic independence. Economic independence creates options, and options create freedom. So my question, or the question to the group is, what advice would you give women about building financial sustainability and economic independence? And how can taking control of their finances empower them with more choices, confidence, and personal power throughout their careers and lives?
Amazing. This is awesome. Well, first of all, I do have to recognize Yetzi. This event is unbelievable. So I have to say, congrats. Financial stability can come in all different facets. So yes, just because I have multiple degrees, I love giving my money to institutions, right? I have this cool stuff in my brain. It's what you make it. So where you spend your money, where you want to support organizations, financial stability and how we as women come together, there's a real turn of what's happening. Does anyone know about the wealth gap? It's pretty insane. Google will tell you if you just ChatGPT it or whatever you want to do in Google, right? Ask them, what's going on with the wealth gap? We have a real chance as women in this room, and I see a lot of men in the room, so thank you for showing up and supporting women in this room. So let's give a hand of applause for men. But what I would say is that with financial stability, if you can support women-owned businesses, women organizations, there is an economic change that will occur. And it's proven. It's not just me making this up. Maybe Google will make some things up for you, but it's true. So what we do empower here at Beautifully Empowered is to show up, what does that mean to you? Is financial stability for you to be at home working remote with your kids? Is it to be in the office and to have a work life? There is no balance in life, but how do you, what does it mean to you? So throw away all the conversations you have with other people and focus on yourself first. And that's what we do at BE, is to make sure that, if you want to go chase a dream of entrepreneurship, slow your roll real quick. Make sure we have a plan first, and then go after it, right? TikTok University is going to tell you some crazy things. Please don't believe everything you see on TikTok U. It's not real sometimes. So really where I'm trying to go with this, though, is it goes back to you and you only. You have to make sure your values and what you think financial stability is aligns with you first. And then obviously everything else will follow.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone have anything to add? Financial sustainability? All right. Okay. So next, let's talk about work and life. Balance between work and life, is it a myth? Balance looks different in every seasons. Last year, and I'm going to throw this to Jill. So last year I was at an HR conference and went to see a speaker, and the speaker said, forget about work-life balance. It's more like work-life integration. And, they said that it's an integration because it's a blending of professional responsibilities and personal life that allows both to coexist. You can try to balance all day long, and it's not going to be there. And Jill, with you are in you're doing so many different things with your companies, because I know you own some restaurants and everything as well.
Yes.
I didn't say that too, So, I guess the question is, how has your definition of balance changed for you, and how do you give yourself permission to adjust expectations in different seasons of your life?
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's very ironic that you chose that for me. My company's name is Balance Motorsport. I was the marketing director of a company called Fresh Air Systems Technologies, which did driver cooling and ventilation systems inside of race cars. And I bought the company from my boss in 2005, and I didn't want to take on the liability of Fresh Air Systems Technologies. So my lawyer said, pick a name. And the word balance was so not equal in my life. So I chose balance to kind of place that balance in my life because I needed that. And the work-life balance, those words put together, I don't think was a statement back in 2005. And balance has just really stayed with me for 21 years. And it kind of taught me along the way how to work-life balance. I'm the worst at it. Like Bree said, there is no work-life balance. Forget about it. But I learned through business ownership and growing my businesses and adding to my businesses that the balance becomes what you make of it and how you love your life and find the things that offshoot from your business that you can grasp onto and find the joy there. And I have found that mostly in the last few years. But I finally feel like balance is suiting me. And I hope it suits me even more in the next 12 to 24 months as I slow my roll. So thank you. I love the balance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to comment on a work-life integration versus balance?
I'll say something on that because I aspired to find work-life balance for many years in my early career and never quite found it. And that I felt guilty because of it with the family and children. And I think when you realize that balance is something that you can look back over a period of time, I think it frees yourself. So, I don't think that there's ever equality between the two. And when I think of balance, I think of equal. It's not going to be. There are going to be more times where you might be pulled in a different direction more than perhaps home life. And that's okay because it may balance out. In 2 more years, you might have more time. So for instance, as I was an attorney trying to reach partnership in a law firm, I worked a lot of hours in my early career. And sacrifice a lot of my family time with my children and my husband, unfortunately. But what happens is I have more of it now. So thankfully, I'm able to travel a little bit more and see the kids and do those sorts of things that I might not have done earlier in my career. So I think you don't feel guilty. I think free yourself of that guilt. You might be doing one or the other more, and that's okay. But I think over time, you'll find that there's more, balance.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so Devin, I'm coming to you on this
No.
question, okay?
Thanks.
So last year, Devin was a panelist as well, and something that Devin said at the end really resonated with me, and in talking to some others that attended, it resonated with them as well. And at the end, she talked about, or the statement she made was, there's room for all of us, meaning all of us as females, you know, and so I want to talk about competitiveness, because competitiveness can be good, you know. It can create collaboration. It doesn't need to divide us. It can elevate rooms. So, you know, when we talk about competitiveness, Devin, in environments that can feel competitive, what advice would you give women on how to pursue ambition while still supporting and uplifting other women? And then how can they evaluate whether a competitive environment is a healthy one or one that undermines collaboration?
Okay. Thanks. I'm very passionate about this. Very, very passionate about this. So I did say that last year, that there's room for all of us. And I mean that. So, you know, collaboration, support versus competitiveness. These don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can have all of them. And in fact, I submit that if you are collaborative and supportive of your colleagues and other women, you will be more competitive, because all of us have different skill sets, different strengths, different weaknesses. And when you're afraid to collaborate and talk and get to know other people because you're afraid that somehow they're going to have the leg up over you, you lose a real opportunity to learn and with one another. You know, so I shout out to the wonderful, fabulous women in the room of Rivers Casino, who I consider colleagues. I work probably more closely with Marnie Dehorn as Vice President of Human Resources, and Jill San Salvador, Vice President of Finance. She loves when I call her out like that, by the way. But these are fabulous women. So we have been working together for, Marnie, 10 years, Jill probably a little longer. And there is, I mean, when I say fabulous, they are absolutely fabulous in their own right. We all are. We all have different skill sets. I admire the strengths that Marnie brings to the table. I admire the skills that Jill brings to the table. I look at both of these women and I say, you know, there's certain things that they have that I don't have. And, you know, Jill, she's the most organized person I know. And I'm probably the most disorganized person I know. And so I look, that inspires me to be better. And so I love to talk to them. I love to bounce things off of them. I bet there are things that I have, you know, my strengths may not be their strengths, and they do the same thing. So I've never felt a negative competition amongst us. We support one another, we collaborate with one another, and when they shine, I shine, and vice versa. So shout out to my girls, first of all. And so in terms of negative competition, you should be competing against one person, and that is yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Focus on you. How can I be better? How can I be better than I was last year? How can I improve on these skill sets that I know need some development? When you do that, everything else is going to take care of itself. And I am a firm believer of that. So thank you so much for that question, Marty.
Thanks, Devin. Anyone else on the panel?
She crushed that one.
Mic drop.
Yep. I think it goes to that idea, though, that 1 + 1 = 3, right? You know, like when you're surrounded by the right people, you make each other better all the time.
100%. 100%. Devin makes me better every day, and I owe her a lot of wine. Okay, so and next I'm going to Catherine, and we're going to talk about leadership and impact. Catherine, you as in your role, sustainability means building something that lasts. It's about a legacy. So my question to you is, from your experience, how can women think leadership in terms of sustainability, building something that lasts, and what advice would you give about creating a legacy that continues to make an impact long after you have moved on from a role?
That's a great question. I did spend a lot of time thinking about this, so I have a few notes. Bear with me. You know, I honestly think we often think about leadership as the rise, right? You know, we're building something, and that is true. But when we think about sustainable leadership, we have to dismantle that norm. It's not how far you rise, it's how deep the roots are that you oh dear, roots are that you leave behind. Like, what happens when you leave the room? Is it still viable? And so I think that there are 3 things that you need to think about in terms of sustainable leadership. The first is motivation. The second is habits. And the third is people. Let me say just a few things on each. The motivation is the mission. Are you moved by what you do? Can you find energy and drive from that mission each and every day? And are you using it as your North Star for decision making, especially the hard ones? It's really hard when you're faced with a difficult decision. And so are you leveling back to that North Star, that mission every time? So at Oakton, I am so privileged to work for an organization whose mission is to empower and transform lives through access to education. I believe in that mission because I was the first in my family to go to college. I feel that levering power every day. I had a president at one point who said, college president at one point who said, all you need to ask is it good for students? If you can say yes, whatever that question is, whatever that decision is that you're trying to make, that's the litmus test. And so understand your mission and continue to go back to it and generate energy from it all the time. That's the motivation. The second is habits. So how are you building your foundation? Naming your values explicitly to your team, to the people that you work with. Documenting your decisions so they understand not just what the decision was, but the construct you used to get there. And then develop people relentlessly. So that leads us to the people, right? Who carries that mission forward? Your legacy isn't about what you decide, it's about who you develop. Find your people, invest in them, name them, tell them what you see in them that sometimes they don't yet see in themselves. I have the privilege of working in philanthropy, and so there are lots of really great examples of women philanthropists that I admire so much. 3 of them I'll mention. Joan Kroc. If you've not read the book, Ray and Joan, the man who made the McDonald's million and the woman who spent it all. It's a really great read. But Joan invested all of those millions that Ray made in organizations that drove peace, in public radio, in the Salvation Army. The way she expressed her philanthropy was to create infrastructure and human dignity. Oprah Winfrey, also an amazing philanthropist in her own right. Her philanthropy centers on education and human potential. She knows that when you invest in someone's belief in themselves, the returns are incalculable. And then finally, Mackenzie Scott. Mackenzie Scott is a disruptor. She has turned high net worth philanthropy on its head, right? She invests in unrestricted, trust-based gifts to thousands of organizations, and she's still doing it. And what that's taught me is sometimes all you need to do is provide resources and get out of people's way, and they will find the place. So as you think about like transformational leadership, think about not just what you're building, but what is the legacy you leave behind through your motivation, your habits, and the people that work with you, and you will truly leave something of worth.
That's awesome. So and I got to ask you one more other question, Catherine, off the cuff. No, with everything that you do and the leadership roles that you're in, how do you make decisions today that your future self will thank you for?
That's a hard one, right? It's not about me, right? I have to remember all the time, if I feel my ego getting in the way, I need to take a break, walk around the campus, and reconnect to that mission, right? So yes, there are decisions you have to make on the fly. Sometimes you don't think it's the right decision. Sometimes it's a decision, and you just move on. Sometimes you make a bad decision That's okay. Feel fast and forward. But keep your eye on the long-term prize. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And how do you make sure, in spite of yourself, that it is still leading in the right direction?
Thank you. Thanks for answering that. You know, I didn't prompt you for that one, but. Okay, so now we have Itzel.
Hello.
So Itzel, your bio too was pretty amazing, and you know the fact that you left nursing to go into nonprofit leadership. You know, you changed everything, but what your core was in nursing, I'm sure you carried it over. So as we talk about evaluating values, you know, when you check in with yourself, make sure that the alignment is still there on what matters to you most. How have you seen the importance of periodically reassessing values, both personally and organizationally, and what advice would you give women about ensuring their growth and leadership and making sure that they remain aligned with the impact that they hope to make?
Thank you. It is a question that I relate to on my everyday life. Why? I am a big believer that we do not have to wait until it's too late to reassess. That is something that you have to do periodically because it connects you back with your values, right? You often think about filling a lot of cups. You're always wanting to fill those roles or always say yes, stretching yourself to the max to make sure that everybody else around you is okay. But what about us? If us as women, we are not only leaders, we are hard workers, we're moms, we're wives. You know, we carry a lot of different titles in our life, and we have to make sure that all of those areas are well taken care for. And in that process, we often end up losing ourselves. So it is extremely important to stop and think if where I am now, it is aligned with my values. And sometimes it is uncomfortable to recognize we're not in a position where we are happy to be in, we're not at peace, or we are challenged often by external factors. So stopping there and realizing maybe it is time for a change, whether it's at the spot that you are or whether it's embracing in a new career. Being an immigrant, a Hispanic, growing up with very little formation, very little role models around me, I found it hard to succeed. First, coming into a country where language was a big barrier, I found myself in big trouble, and I had to sit down and reassess. In college, I don't have the family, I don't have the support, I don't have the money to go to medical school. But I really have a big love for healthcare and for being a caregiver to other humans. So I decided, well, there's a shortcut. Nursing will do. And I jumped in and I did it. And it was a way of assessing a life decision that I knew I was going to have time in my life to reassess over and over and over again. And fears sometimes can freeze you. That is because you are starting to feel an itch in your heart. And that itch means it's time for change. It's time to reinvent yourself. And it is time to move. But always, in every reassessment, I always look at what can I do in me that is going to pull others? Because not am I only responsible for forming a life on my own or be an example to my children or a role model to my siblings, my sisters, but it's also building a path where other women can walk and make sure that is a strong foundation for them, because leadership in this world is still hard for a lot of us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just on what Itzel said, about the itch in your heart, and I'm going to throw it out to all of you up here. We've all pivoted in our careers. We've all done different things or different organizations at some point. So what are some signs that tell you it's time to reassess?
Don't ask me.
What are some signs that you guys have that it's time? Go ahead, Devin.
Well, I mean, for me, a big part or time in my life was when I was at the law firm and reassessing my career and what I wanted for myself, what I wanted for my family. But when it's time when you change, because that's what started to happen. I changed. I became a different person, person that I did not really like, to be honest. More irritable as Sunday nights rolled around because I knew Monday morning I've got to be back in the office. The creativity that I had, I loved the arts and to create and write music and poetry and these things of this nature. I stopped doing that. I was so mechanical in my movement, in my everyday life. I knew, okay, this is now I don't like who I am when I look in the mirror. So it's time to reassess my career, and I did. And so I made the change. So I think that's one of the signs that it's time to make a change.
I love it, and we're happy you made the change.
Me too, trust me. I thank God every day. So.
I made a big career pivot. So the first half of my career was in the technology industry, and I loved those jobs. I mean, it was really fun in the 80s and 90s to be on the technology bandwagon as product life cycles changed every 6 months, and you got to play with lots of money and take big risks and fail fast and forward all the time. And I learned so much working for those companies. And I think I would still be on that train today. But I had a life event. My mom got sick. And so I took time off of work to take care of her through the end of her life. And it really gave me some time to step back and go, do I really think I'm ever going to be CEO? Like, do I really think that this is how I want to spend my life? I was traveling 200 days a year. That's a lot. There was a lot broken in my life that I didn't really realize until I took a pause to reassess. And so eventually, when my mom passed, and I talked with my financial advisor about, hey, I need to get back into something, and I haven't started anything yet. Do I need to sell my house? Do I need to sell my car? Start eating more ramen noodles? He said, I'm on the board at the American Cancer Society, and they're looking for a new vice president. And I think your business skills would really be valuable in this space. And so it was a leap, a huge leap of faith. And I had so much to learn. I didn't know a thing about raising money. I really didn't. But I had some life experience that helped me understand the mission of helping people who had been diagnosed with cancer. And so the journey goes from there. But it was really a moment. I thank goodness for that moment. I mean, I hate the circumstances, but thank goodness for that moment that I was able to step back and really take some time to think about who I was and who I wanted to be.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I always say, you're never going to feel 100% qualified. Just do it, right? Nobody knows but you. Just do it. Take that leap. Take that chance. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yep.
You pivot again.
Right.
Absolutely.
I said, don't ask me, but
I know.
I do. I have something. And it's not what you expect. I also feel that change should be happening when complacency sits in. When you come to a place in your life where you're just going through the motions of whether it's the job or the life or whatever. And I believe in the stay hungry, the motivation of bettering oneself, finding that next level, whatever it is that moves you, find that drive. And once complacency sets in, pivot, do something totally different.
Right.
If you have the ability to do that,
Yep.
go take a leap. I'm a big risk taker, as she says, and I've found it served me well to do the things that most people wouldn't jump in and do. I built a nonprofit while running my racing business because I had a cancer diagnosis. It was my Making Lemonade project while I was going through chemo, and it turned into something extraordinary because of the people around me. And then I pivoted and I ran that for a while, and now I'm back working. I have amazing people around me to run the cancer nonprofit, so I can step back and run my racing business again. So when I feel that complacency sit in, I pivot, I move. So, yes.
Thank you. Devin.
I just want to say one more thing, because the reason why is because when we think about reassessing and complacency and, you know, realizing that you're different than who you want to be, and we say move, sometimes that's good. But sometimes it doesn't mean move, it's still, you can reassess where you currently are.
Absolutely.
So I do want to point that out to all of our great colleagues in the room at Rivers.
Good one.
I thought about that, and even honest, to be honest, relationships. Sometimes we can be complacent there. Now that's another conversation for another day. But that doesn't necessarily mean move. So sometimes you have to reassess. Okay, how can I reinvent myself? Right. How can I get a resurgence within my current role? Because there are opportunities to do things that you might hadn't done before, that you want to do a new skill set, or you want to get more involved in this area. So that opportunity is there as well. So I just want to point that out, that not all the time when you reassess does that mean I need to move and change positions.
Yes.
Right.
Micro moves.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Keep me
Go
grounded.
ahead,
Back
Bree.
to your sustainability leadership question, was that just because you don't have a title doesn't mean you can't be a leader.
That's right.
I mean, here I am running a nonprofit, and I've been in HR. I'm actually in the tech world, so I love hearing tech people, right? You can do what you want to do. I'm still crazy and in the tech companies, and I work at Uber Corporate, and I'm in their learning division. And people are like, you run a nonprofit, you work in HR at Uber, which is not a 40-hour work week, more like a 55, 60-hour work week. And I also am a psychotherapist on Sundays. And so while for me, that fills my cup currently. That's where my burners are burning. So I would look at life, here's my therapy advice, is that I look at life as burners. Like, look at the oven, right? You cannot put 4 burners on high. It's not gonna work. So assessing your values and what you're looking for is in different phases of life. But again, going back to the sustainability leadership, anyone can be a leader. I don't care if you're an individual contributor, a people manager, you wanna move different roles, stay within an organization that you love and care for, that goes back to the values of the mission, stay and grow. Add more skills to your, like I said, add more tools to your tool belt, which is the best part about really sustainable leadership.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we, luckily, some of you have submitted questions as well when you registered. So we have some random questions right here. I'm just going to throw them out to the group, and please, anyone jump in. The first one, if you could go back and unlearn one piece of advice on your path to a leadership role, what would it be, and what advice would you offer to the aspiring woman in our audience?
Wow.
Age doesn't matter.
There you
Point
go.
blank period. Doesn't matter how old, how young, does not matter. And like I said before, leadership can look in all different facets, lives, cultures, races, everything. And that's what I really, I know there's also imposter syndrome too coming up, which is my favorite. My favorite as a therapist. I'm like, I'm ready for that one. It goes back to saying, Bree, I get this all the time. Bree, you do too much. Well, don't tell me I do too much, because it's my plate. I'm not looking at you, right? You got to look at yourself. And so it goes back to just show that age doesn't matter to be a leader anywhere you go.
I love that. I love that. I'll say myself is the financial sustainability. I was dumb when I was young, and I didn't want to put 3% of my pay in a 401k. Why would I could go to the bar with that money. Seriously, I wish I was smarter with my money when I was younger, just getting into the business side of things. If you can do it, do it. That's one of my advice. Anybody else?
I'd say fit in, right? So when I started my career in the technology space, I was often the only woman in the room, usually the only woman who wasn't serving coffee.
Yep.
And so, whether someone said those words to me or I said it to myself, I thought I had to sand down the edges, right? In order to be taken seriously, to be heard, to make sure that my ideas got across, I had to mirror the leaders who were in that space and their style and their gravitas. I wish I could have told my younger self that I'm uniquely me, right? I'm here for a reason. You add substance and value for who you are. You don't need to fit in.
I love that. There's a book I read probably about 12 years ago, and I can't remember who wrote it. It's Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office.
Love that book.
And one of the things that floored me, because I was doing it all the time, I was baking cookies, I was bringing in, into the office and everything, and it's saying we shouldn't do that. So it's actually a great book, and it's not a huge book to read, but it's one of those that opened my eyes to a lot of stereotypes that when women are in business, what they do, and they think that that's their roles they play in business. All right, so Bree brought up imposter syndrome. She saw that question. So how does imposter syndrome show up in your field, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, I would love to start with this because I think that being in technology I still am one of the only women. I mean, right now at Uber, if you look at our statistics that are public, I think we have about 70-something% men. And we are a global company, which is great, where I think that, when you go in meetings and you are still the only, it's scary. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, I actually have a trick, and it's really awkward, but it's called an awkward turtle. So I literally put my hands, and if I'm in a meeting by myself, I just swim below my seat. And people are like, what are you doing? Just swimming. And why I say this is that if you're not nervous, something's off. It goes back to the itch of like trying to change or evolve. You're always going to have some type of nerves, right? If you're not nervous, there's therapy, right? Which is my favorite. But I would say it's showing up for who you are and what you believe in. And if you don't feel comfortable, well, talk to people, right? I guarantee that there's how many people in this room going through the same exact thing. And that's what we as women, we're supposed to do 6 million things. Well, if you want to do 2 and do it really great, do it. Where it goes back to the imposter syndrome is that, like, you might shake for a little bit, right? You might be sweating, might have sweat in your, wherever, right? Let's be real. It happens to everyone. Just because I'm on this stage, right? I put my pants on the same way as other people did. Everyone can do any hard thing in life. It's going back to the motivation. If you like risks, what's your thrill? And that's where it kind of squashes imposter syndrome. But if someone tells you that they're not nervous, I call BS on that, real quick.
I agree.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I think it's great to live with the imposter syndrome because I tell myself every day, don't let it lead.
Yep.
We are afraid, and that's fine. But do it with fear because you will learn along the way. What is the worst that can happen? That you became an expert on something or a talent, or you found out a talent that you didn't know you had.
Right.
So I feel that we don't have to listen to it, and we have to be brave enough to invest in ourselves, believe in ourselves, and bring others along the way with us.
I love that. And one of the things that I think is easy now in 2026, 20, 30 years ago, is the internet, is
Yes.
Google, it's ChatGPT, AI that can help you learn. You can raise your hand earlier, and it'll help you learn if you're not sure or confident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, love that. Okay, so here's another one. Describe a successful path you abandoned in your adult life and where you had to restart. And what guided your next transition? Jill's looking at me.
I'm sorting it out in my head first.
You're like, which one?
Let somebody else go first, and then I'll jump back in.
I'll take on this one. I did 12 years of administration in the medical field, specifically in dental. And I was having a good life. I had a good schedule, amazing coworkers, great bosses that were very supportive of myself and the company. And one day I just get a call out of nowhere to start working in ministry, a field that I had no idea how to navigate. And that was one of the hardest decisions in my life. It was a whole week of sleepless nights, questioning myself if I was capable or if it was going to be the right decision. Not only because I had to move again from one job to another, and I said move again because I moved from Austin, Texas to Chicago. I moved my entire family, and now, after pandemia, shortly I had to tell them, guess what? I am taking on a new job, and we have to live on campus. We have to leave our house. You guys have to leave your school, and we are going to start a new life in Catholic ministry. And it was a little bit hard. I felt the resistance from my kids because they're older, 18 and 15, and my husband, but they were very supportive of that. And when I decided to make the change, I knew it was a calling from God, because I felt at complete peace when I said yes to that new opportunity. So I'm not sure if I will ever be the best version of myself, but I know that I have to constantly invest in where I am now and serve others. It's a big thing. Always in my heart is the service to others, and be there for others, be there for myself, be there for my colleagues, and I know that I will get a very nice answer from the community if I do that, if I stay true to myself and my heart.
So it sounds like you followed your passion. You had a passion to serve others, and that helped guide your decision.
Thank you. Yeah, it's hard sometimes, but it's worth it.
Can you ask the question again?
Sure. Describe a successful path you abandoned in your adult life and had to restart, and what guided you in that transition?
So I'll talk a little bit about that. I worked for my company for 12 years before I bought it. And in the 12 years that I worked there, the company grew from the original owner's garage and basement to an actual office to a very good company. And I felt very involved in that. As the company grew, I knew it was part of what I was doing in the company. And I realized that after 12 years, I wasn't making any more money than I was in the beginning, talking about female, equitable, whatever. I hadn't gotten a raise in 5 years, and I was a single mom. And so I went to my boss and I told him I was done. And after 12 years, I was ready to walk and not know what I was doing next. And he looked at me and he said, "You have a non-compete, right?" And I said, "I worked out of a garage. No, there's no non-compete." And he said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to recreate this." And he said, "Well, then why don't you buy the company?" And I said, "I can't buy a company. I don't have anything. I'm a single mom." I stood at credit card machines and put my credit cards in to get $2,000 in cash. I refinanced my car. I borrowed money from my parents. And it was the best thing I did. I totally changed everything, bought the company, and I never looked back. I paid my mom back in a year. The only people the company owes right now is me. Really, everybody's, and it was the best thing I ever did. I believed in myself at a time where I shouldn't have, and I think everybody should believe in themselves at some point and just take that leap if you can. Totally
That's
change.
awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Yes, Devin.
So, once upon a time, I thought I was going to be a Broadway actress.
All right.
Then I thought about that financial sustainability piece and decided to go to law school. But success for me looks like, obviously, during the day, I'm an attorney here, but I find ways to do the things that I love to do still. So I may not get paid for them, but I sing all the time, I act every now and then, and that is success to me.
Yep.
When I went to law school, I wasn't sure what area I was going to practice in, whether it was corporate litigation, whether it was public interest. I took, some internships in public interest organizations, which I just, raise my hands to all of you in public interest. It's a wonderful work that you do. I decided to go the corporate litigation route, but coming to Rivers allowed me to also participate in that public interest, philanthropic, side of things when, with the foundation and all the great things that we do there. So that's success to me. So I'm still able to do those things, even though they're not career, they're not my career. So I kind of get the best of both worlds.
I love that. And Devin is an amazing singer. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
anyone else? All right, so another good question, and I think we had this question last year after the event too. For any one of you, how do you find your mentors?
They're all right there. Seriously. A mentor doesn't have to be somebody who leads you in a space that you didn't know yet, but it could be somebody who leads you for a moment in a space that you're unsure of. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this table. I'm all choked up. This table right here, number 2, is pretty much my Lemons of Love group. And these women have been my mentors and been the people who have lifted me up. And you just find them organically. And like I said, they may not be the person who trains you or teaches you in all the things that you think you need. They may be a piece of you may have a mentor in every person around you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's great because I think it's a mentor is somebody that's going to hold you accountable, that'll call you out
Oh, yeah.
when you need called out, somebody that you can laugh with, but they're honest. They tell you, they give you the feedback that you need to hear even when you don't want to hear it.
Right.
So
And you learn.
Yep, absolutely. Anyone else? How do you identify mentors?
I think the word organic is so powerful. I'm going to say this being in HR for 15 years. Corporate mentorship programs, I'm sorry, not good. That's just me being in HR and saying that. It's forced. You have to find them organically. If I have to find different values or who stands out to me, right? Like, I want to learn something from them, but they also got to learn from you, right? It doesn't matter. We always look, and one thing I want to unlearn is like mentorship doesn't have to be upward. It can be downward too. And it could be peers. I think it's everywhere. And that's really my biggest thing. If I don't know something, I'm going to go ask. Because again, women are always going to be, what do? Fill other cup, right? Like, you don't know this? Let me teach you. Of course. Why? Because then they get to brag about themselves. It's amazing. It fills the serotonin boost in yourself. So again, I would say with mentorship, asking, just ask. If the worst they can say is what? N-O? I don't have time? Great. Keep it rolling. But again, I want to stress the word organic. It's got to make sure that it fits in your values that you talked about, your passions, and your drives.
I think we find informal mentors all over the place. I mean, you don't even have to name it or ask,
Yep.
right? If you're sitting in a room listening to other people and really listening, like absorbing it, learning it, figuring out how that makes you feel or how it might change the way you operate, you're finding, you're absorbing mentorship, and hopefully you're giving it too, right? You never know who is watching. So, be mindful that there are people who are looking to you for guidance and stability and understanding, especially in those hard moments. And don't forget that you're a leader in those spaces.
I love it. So this is off the wall, but this was a question last year as well, and it's about salary negotiations. So, and I think it's something that we talk about pay equity and everything else. So, how or what has helped you gain confidence in salary negotiations? Any advice you can give the room?
I'll just give a piece of advice, and that is, I haven't had to do much of it, honestly. And it's not because, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, but it's just because I believe my work speaks for itself. And oftentimes, I've gotten this feedback from partners that I worked with when I was in the law firm, was that during my evaluation, where I would have to write my self-evaluation, they would always tell me that I could literally cut and paste what you said about yourself, and it would be my evaluation of you. because it was an honest assessment. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We don't have to pretend, right? Like I work, you're working with somebody every single day, right? They know the strengths. My boss, he knows the good, he knows the bad, he knows the ugly, right? And there'll be every category. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly. But you have to be confident, right? You have to be confident. You have to be confident to know when it's time to speak up, but be honest. I think that's the most important thing. Be honest about yourself. Be honest about your worth. Be honest about, research and know the market. And so, it's not about, oh, I'm trying to get a leg up. I'm trying to, get the absolute most I can squeeze out of somebody. That's not what I think salary negotiation is about. It's about being honest about what you bring to the table, what you offer, and wanting to be fairly compensated for that. And so I think if you're honest with yourself, most of the time I think it will work out. And in those instances, because it certainly can happen where you feel like, wait a minute, this is not, now I feel like I'm being, unfairly, evaluated, then you have to be confident to know that, okay, now it's time to speak up.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so we're getting close to time, and I'll have the panelists stay up here, but as we wrap up our conversation, I hope everyone leaves not just inspired today, but empowered. Empowered to connect to others, empowered to continue to lift one another up as we lead forward. And I want to take a minute and I want to thank Christy Martin for
Yes.
and Champ. And also our incredible panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you for your honesty, your wisdom, and for sharing not only your professional journeys, but your personal insights. Your voices have enriched this room today, and we are better because of the perspectives that you all shared. So thank you very much. And before I turn it over to Yetzi, she will be coming up here. As I did last year, I'm going to throw it out to the room, a call to action again. I think it's important we leave and we do something after this conversation today. And what I need you to do as you're on your journeys or you get where you're going, to stop, pause, turn around, and reach that hand out to the next woman behind you. We are stronger together, and we can do it together. And as Devin says, there is room for all of us here. So Yetzi, if you want to come up, we have a special presentation.
Thank you all again for being here today, and another round of applause for our amazing panel. So, while every woman on this stage represents leadership in action, I would like to take a moment to recognize one of our panelists in a special way. We've had the privilege of hearing from Bree Casey today, and what she shared reflects exactly what the theme calls us to embrace. Bree is truly a powerhouse. Her nonprofit, Beautifully Empowered, has grown into a multi-pillar community organization serving hundreds of women annually through counseling partnerships, the Career Clothing Closet, leading workshops, and signature mentorship programs. Her work does more than empower. It equips women with tools for lasting sustainable growth. Because sustainable leadership is not just about rising, it's about reaching back and building systems that allow us to rise too. Today, it is our honor to recognize Bree Casey and present a check in support of Beautifully Empowered's mission. Bree, we see your impact. We believe in your mission, and we are proud to invest in the future you are helping to create. Please join us in celebrating Bree Casey and Beautifully Empowered. So, Bree doesn't actually know the full amount she's receiving today, so as a drum roll.